Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome to another live session with the Hype Magazine. I'm your editor-in-chief, Jerry Doby, and today, I've got an amazing young lioness with me by the name of Sandflower. She has an amazing album coming up July 29th, I believe it is, and it is The Quantum Seed. It's an amazing ride through. I got a chance the honor and the privilege to preview it. And it's a straight ride through, no skips as far as I'm concerned, and it offers something for everyone. She's got little reggae tone jumping off in there. She's got a little dance hall jumping off in there, some EDM, some dubstep, some drum and bass, and some pure cold ass lyrics. She's just cold with it. Welcome, Sandflower.
Thank you so much, Jerry. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh man, that's amazing. Beautiful smile. Look at that. Where are you at that you smiling like that? What part of the world?
I am in New York. I'm in Brooklyn, in my hometown from Brooklyn.
Okay, it's Brooklynite. All right, Brooklynite. I love it. All right, so we're just learning about you over here, and I want the audience to get to know you. So from the inside looking out, talk to us about the artist Sandflower.
The artist Sandflower is a culmination of many things. I love visual art. I love music. I love different parts of the world. I love fashion. I love all of that. And I listen and I look. So all of my music is a combination and inspired by really living in New York City and having access to all different types of people, all different types of sounds, all different types of music, and even all different types of food, languages. And that all goes into the album. And that is also who I am as an artist. Just mix of cultures, mix of elements. That's
okay. All right, I love it. Was there a defining moment where you said, I need to add music to my breathing? I gotta have it like air.
Well, my mom is a musician and my dad is a painter. So I always loved music, but a lot of people, parents who are artists, don't want their kids going into art, which you would think would be the opposite, but it's a definitely not a straight path. So people want kids to be on a more traditional road. So for me, music was always something that in my heart, I knew I would do, but I was trying to do other stuff. And also I love books. I was a great student and I really enjoyed learning. I enjoyed college. I enjoyed all of my schooling. I went to grad school. I just have a knowledge of, not a knowledge, I have a yearning for knowledge. And there came a time though, I knew that I wanted to do music, that I was able to tell my parents, okay, this is what I'm gonna do, was probably like maybe 10 years ago, when I was like, this is actually, I need this. I can't not do this. It's calling me, it's pulling me. Hey, I came through you, musician, I came through you, painter. Maybe there's a reason for that. It's time for me to try this as actually an artist, not just something that I'm kind of doing, but not really putting 100% in.
Was there a timeline? Did it take you like a couple of years to get comfortable to speak about it and then to actually step out center stage?
Yes, it's pretty much, I was actually really scared to call myself an artist because in my family, an artist is Miles Davis, it's Carlos Santana, it's John Coltrane, it's Jimi Hendrix, it's Salvador Dali. So for me, calling yourself an artist is a massive legacy to take on. You're saying, I am a part of this. This is who I am. I live and I breathe this. So it took me a minute, even though I had already started doing music, to refer to myself not just as an artist, as a musician. Okay, because that's the artist. That's the artist. There's something that's 360 degrees in my definition of art. Like, do you see the world as an artist? Do you create your music and your show? And there's all different types of art and artists. So it's really, even though I was signed to Interscope, I had a singles deal with Black Ground, Interscope,
Blackground. I haven't heard that
Yeah,
label in a long time.
in a long time. It was like, how long was that? That was like maybe 8 years ago. That
Okay.
was with Barry.
Okay.
That was a really wonderful time. And that's when I decided, okay, these people are calling me an artist. I know I'm an artist. It's time for me to stand in that truth of being not just an artist in the music sense, but an artist in the sense of the planet. I am an artist.
Yeah.
And from there, it just kept growing and growing and growing.
Yeah, because from my observation, I'm listening, and you transcended from entertainer to an artist because, in my opinion, and I don't make music, but I love music. And my mother was a concert pianist, so I sat in Whitehall and listened to all the good stuff, right? Yeah. You layered your music with so many nuances, from different styles, different timbre, different intonation. The messages are fun, some of them are really sneaky. You're talking that talk, you're getting slick with it. New York is definitely showing up, you know what I mean? Yeah. For you, what was the imperative for you with this album that you just had to
Wow, there was a time probably 6 months ago where I have music, I have tons of songs, hundreds, probably thousands at this point, but I couldn't write anymore. I couldn't produce anything new because I felt in my gut I needed to give life to these songs. I needed to get this out into the world. I needed to express it. I need to, give birth, let it go, let it run wild and free into the world. And it's because there's a vulnerability as an artist when you're putting your music out there. And as someone who's known what side as the traditional label sense, and someone who's seen the world changing in the independent realm, all of a sudden, neither one mattered. I just needed to give this out to the world. I needed people to hear this because it, like you said, it's a range of things. It's fun, it's slick, it's emotional, it's genuine. And I needed to let it go and just let it run free in order to have the space to create something new. It just felt like that.
Okay, so you were like a caged lioness pacing back and forth.
Yeah, actually.
I'm tired of you people looking at me. Let me run free. Let's go.
Let's go. And it felt like the right time, it's time.
It's magnificent. I mean, beautiful sound.
Thank you.
Big sound. And you definitely did it right. And I'm a jaded guy. I've been around for a little while, and I'm tired of hearing, I want to hear things that refresh me. Yeah. I want to be able to, I'm sitting there playing it. I've got two computers going. One is playing, the Quantum Seed, and the other one is I'm working, and I'm like, this is in my background. I'm like, oh, and I'm sitting in my Razor chair. Shout out to Razor. Sorry, got to get my plug in, right? For 8-9 hours, and I've basically got your SoundCloud on repeat. And I'm going, man, I can't even share it because it's on private. But I can't wait until it's live on the 29th. And you said something about doing it independently. So this is all on your imprint. How's this working?
Yeah, this is I'm doing it basically in conjunction. I've put together a team, and this is all on my imprint. I'm working with also the producer, David Sisko, who produced it. I'm working with Holly, as you know. I've got a publisher that I'm working with, and I just have support from all different places of different people, even calling in, hey, I'm finally putting in an album. There's finally something major that I can offer into the world. Not that singles aren't, or, different accomplishments aren't, but there's something to having a whole body of work. It really makes me feel good that you notice that there's new sounds and new combinations on this album because I wanted to create stuff that I hadn't heard before too. Like I wanted to, if I'm gonna put something out into the world, you know, because there's tons of amazing songwriters that I know. There's tons, the radio right now to me is very refreshing because there's so many people, so many writers, artists, sounds that are coming together in a new way. So if I'm gonna put myself out there with all the major label people and all the independent label people, what can I create that nobody, at least I'm aiming for, that nobody has really put together yet? Like what kind of combination of this Rubik's Cube can I put out there?
Okay.
And so it makes me feel really good that you know, something it sparked in your ear.
I pay attention. If I can get past the first 30 seconds, I'm good. You know what I mean? But I got through all 11 joints without skipping. I did a couple of replays, you know what I mean? But I didn't skip anything. I was like, that's not for me. There was, you know, I'm pretty diverse. Like I said, I've been doing it for a while, so I've heard sounds from all over, and everything fit me. It met me where I was at. The whole album met me where I was at, which was in need of some freaking inspiration to write. And I actually wrote a couple of crazy pieces to your album. I'm like, oh, wow. So I can't wait to be able to buy it actually when it comes out. Whatnot. I got it for free. I can listen to it for free, but I know the SoundCloud is gonna die. So I'm gonna have to go get it. And I can't wait. July 29th is going down. It's The Quantum Seed by Sandflower. We talked about sounds and things like that. And you've been making music, you released a few singles, etc. Are you still, during this creation process, was listening to music for fun, just to vibe out as a consumer, was that ruined for you? Or do you find yourself analyzing all the time?
That's a great question, because there's the songwriter side of me, there's the artist side of me, and then there's just the human being who wants to still enjoy music. So what I do, it's kind of almost a schedule. I like to listen every couple of weeks to a few songs or even an album of what's happening currently in like the major world, and then what's coming in the independent world, like different Spotify playlists of artists that maybe I haven't heard of, but from people that I trust their music. And then I tend to go back to a few different artists that, or songs that have already come out, but I don't like to listen to new stuff when I'm writing new stuff, because I feel like everybody absorbs. Like you absorb, if you're reading something, if you're seeing something, like it's going into your subconscious. And I don't necessarily want to be so inspired that I don't realize maybe I'm recreating something that's happening, or I feel compelled to you know, write that smash, write that hit, you know, write that joint that's going to sound like what's on the radio, because what's on the radio already happened, you know, it's already made. I want to hear to see what people are gravitating to at this moment, but there's new stuff being made now that's really the future. Okay. So I don't let it ruin my music listening, because I have a time where I can say, okay, now I'm analyzing. I'm looking at, you know, who wrote this, where are they from, how many writers are on this, like what did the artist say about performing the song, or did the artist write the song too, who produced it, and then I have the rest of the time where I'm just listening for joy.
I hadn't listened to Joy for a while, and then your album came along. And I'm not just blowing smoke. I'm not gassing you up. I want you to continue. I'm saying I really enjoyed it and was able to go through it. I get about 200 submissions a day. Wow. And I am overwhelmed, inundated, run amok, run over, beat down with the same bat, you know what I mean? And so it's nice for somebody to throw a slider and a curveball and a fastball and mix it up. You know what I mean? Pardon my baseball reference.
No, no,
Um,
I've tried softball briefly. I was really
okay.
bad at it, but I know a little bit.
Well, I was really bad at basketball, so baseball had to be my sport. So you mentioned college and prepping for your professional life. You didn't know. Well, I know that you're the vice president of Spray Ground.
Yes.
One of my favorite. It is, matter of fact, it is my favorite. I've been rocking with Spray Ground for some years now.
Really?
And
Oh, amazing.
yeah. Carry Spray Ground every time I get an opportunity to get a new one. I'm there for
Okay.
it. So, but college, were you a scholarship student or were you a pay to play student?
I've always been a scholarship student,
Ah,
and from preschool through high school, or lower school through high school, I went to school called the Packard Collegiate Institute in
okay.
Brooklyn, which is an amazing private school. And I was there on full scholarship from third grade to high school. And then I got full scholarships to just about every college I applied to, and Wesleyan University was my favorite of the colleges.
Okay. Wesley. Okay.
It's in Connecticut. It's just amazing, amazing school. All types of, just, you can study anything, but the professors are all amazing. They have an amazing music program. I didn't want to go just to an art school, even though I had thought about it, just because I love, liberal arts and that kind of traditional education. And yeah, I was fully prepared to be a professional in this world. I was prepared to go out and run a company or be a vice president, but I steered away from that because I just didn't want to be in an office. I just really
That's
didn't.
what I'm talking about.
I want to be in the studio. And the funny thing is, studios are usually, they're smaller than offices. They're like,
Dark.
they're dark. If you're lucky, there's windows. But sometimes there's not. Or you might be closing the windows, even if there are big windows, just to block everything out and really get into the zone. And I always felt comfortable creating music and doing that. And it was funny because I met Spray Ground when I was signed. So the producer I'm working with now, he introduced me to Spray Ground because there was a bag on one of the chairs in the studio. And I was like, oh, this bag is so cool. It was this tiny little duffel bag. It was a camo duffel. And I was like, I don't really like camo usually, but something about this bag is really cool. It's like, oh yeah, there's this new company. It's called Spray Ground. And then from there, we ended up meeting David Ben David. We ended up meeting Mike, the brothers. DVD is the founder and the CEO of Spray Ground, chief creative director. And they sponsored a video that I did. And it was so interesting. They were 2 years in, and all of a sudden I just got so many people involved in this thing that was going to be like a small video, but it just exploded into the world of dance. There's all these dancers. At one point we were shooting a scene. I think there was about 50 dancers in the video for the song Bong Chana that we put together. And through that, over the years, I kept seeing, oh, that's a Spray Ground bag. Or like I'd write to the guys like, oh, take a photo, be like, oh, I see your bag. And at the time, sorry, New York, it's a little, I'm not sure if you can hear the siren.
Yeah,
But
okay. It's a live session. It's okay. It's all right.
It's live. At the time, let me see, it was like maybe 2018. I was living in Soho and I came out of my building and I saw these Spray Ground posters in the spots where a friend of mine, Boris, he's a wheat paster, he's a street artist. I saw all these really amazing Spray Ground posters, these campaigns in his spots. So I called him, I was like, hey Boris, like I think somebody got your spots with Spray Ground. Like I know them. They're, I know them very well. He's like, you know Spray Ground? And I was like, yeah. He did the posters, which was crazy to me. So he put them up in his spot. Mm-hmm. And then I realized from there how big Spray Ground had gotten between the time that we did the video and a couple of years ago. I didn't realize that it had become this global creative sensation. I didn't know, you know, because when you meet people as people, especially when they're so genuine, they're not gonna rag to you. They're not gonna tell you what's happening necessarily. That's up to you to figure that out on your own.
Right.
And through that, we reconnected again because the DVD was doing music with the producer that I was still working with. Then those wheat posters. So like all this stuff came together and we started creating again. And because I had been out in the world, not working in an office, but as you know, with that education, with also being a scholarship kid, you gotta be A+ student. As a scholarship kid and as a scholarship kid of color, there's no room for mistake. So I was double prepared for the world, even though I decided to not go into that realm. But by the time I got to Sprayground, we reconnected again. I was just coming in here and there. I was leading meditation actually for the company because I had pitched doing that for Sprayground to DVD. I was like, hey, you know what? Let me lead some meditation. I really feel like I could do that in this space. They have a nice size company. So I started doing that. And as I was walking through, I'd be like, oh, that's a really great bag. I love that bag. Why don't you do da-da-da? Or, oh, that, you know, I just started getting inspired and saying ideas. And all of a sudden I was directing photo shoots and creating videos. It happened so organically. And even from that, from one bag that I saw that said 100% organic, made in Africa, came this collaboration that I do with Sprayground called AI, African Intelligence.
Okay.
And that collab I design it with David. My name is in the bag. It's a huge thing for me because it has a meaning, it has a purpose. It's to uplift and inspire. This next upcoming drop, every single bag that someone buys, a tree is gonna get planted. And so it's like, you know, we're giving back every drop that we've done. A portion of the proceeds goes to charity of my choice. So we do different things depending on what's going on in the world. And from that expanded even more to me becoming the VP and becoming the creative director of content. And it happened so organically, and it happened luckily to find the silver lining in this crazy, you know, Panera pandemic of insanity that we've been in. I didn't have to go to an office, you know, and Sprayground is a global brand. We were literally going to Thailand and Japan, and we're going to China, we're going to Spain, we're going all around the world, and that all stopped. And then we're working all remotely from wherever we are. And that was where I was good. I was good at doing that. I was better at being at home or being in a studio or walking down the street coming with ideas than being in a more traditional setting. And luckily they're not a traditional company. So it's great.
Yeah, I love it. We, as a magazine, we started covering it in December of 2017.
Okay.
And then I personally picked up, I was like, yeah, I'm taking over this one because these guys are going somewhere. Like July of 2019 I did my first piece on Sprayground. And I'm like, you know, this company is amazing. I never got an opportunity to speak with DVD, but I know it'll happen eventually. Yeah. We tried to set it up and you guys were moving so fast and so heavy that it just didn't come together. But I'm really proud for what you've done and the corporate citizenship that you've displayed as a company and as the people behind it, the thinking about the world at large as opposed to just making profits. So shout out to you for being a leader, a thought leader in that. And I didn't mean to take away from the album.
No, it doesn't.
I apologize. But you got excited. I got excited. I asked you about college because I was really trying to be a smart aleck because college kids always have these struggle meal stories, right? And so I was trying to have a little fun and see what your struggle meal was but you were on
Oh,
scholarship, which means you had the table pass. So not fair. I'm like,
oh,
so what was your most fun meal then during college?
well, I will say that I've never eaten meat or fish, so I've always been a vegan, vegetarian, and I didn't realize that my food was going to cost at the grocery store like twice as much as everybody else. So you've got a meal plan and you've got points, and the points you can buy like individual things. So basically, within the first half of the first semester, I ran out of points. So I could still eat meals, and there was always a meal. So I was never hungry, but I was like, oh, I want a veggie burger, like, or like, I want, a mango juice, because you got specific things. And so there were times where I would just sort of like, I wouldn't say I had struggle meals. I just had like hookups with the people at the
Nah.
grocery store, or like hookups at like the campus like smoothie spot. So like they would give me things just because like they knew me. But there were some scares there when I'm like, oh, I really like, I can't eat pizza or I can't eat stuff like that. So luckily, and my mom, since I'm not really, I can cook, but I I don't have the patience to, I'm like, I could be doing something else. So my mom would
Right.
come and bring me like rice and beans. She'd bring me all types of pasta. So luckily, the only struggle, I was like calling her up to ask for some food or to bring it up for me. But my favorite meal, I remember this one. It was a salad. It
Not a
was a salad
salad,
with
Lord.
um, olives and cucumber. It was at the like organic salad bar that we had. It was a beautiful day. I was sitting on the grass. I just remember that so clearly. Sun was shining. It was spring. It was May. It was right about to be the end of the year, and it was just a great day.
You had me until you said olives.
Oh, you don't
And
like olives?
no, can't take it. No onions, no olives,
Okay.
and just a little bit of purple cabbage,
Okay.
just for color and flavor.
Okay.
And then of course lots of now I'm diabetic, so lots of no sugar, no flavor dressing kind of stuff. But I'm learning to add like berries and things like that for flavor.
Yeah.
When I was cool. So yeah, that's why I asked you was about struggle meal. Mine, well,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. It's not my interview, so but
No, yeah, I'm interested.
mine was Orange Crush
Okay.
and Cheetos Puffs with ramen noodles. And so my diet has changed. So let's explore a little bit of your culinary expertise on how to make people feel like they're eating some real food when it's all plant-based. I have tried Impossible Burger, what a burger. It's not a burger.
Yeah.
And how do you handle it?
Well, I never actually ate meat or fish growing up. So
Ah,
I never had the transition period,
okay.
but my mom and my dad did. So
Okay.
the way they made food for me growing up was with the onions and the garlic and the spices mixed into it.
Okay.
And also it's like, it's not chicken, it's not a burger. So you have to just go in knowing it's not. And there's nothing that's going to be able to replace cheese. It's like, because I love cheese, but I'm lactose intolerant, and that's
Ah,
why I'm a vegan. So, like, yeah, some things come close, but if I'm expecting like a New York slice of pizza from, a vegan cheese, it's not going to be the same. So, one thing I would say is preparation. When you're preparing your food, prepare it, if you're a meat eater, like it was meat. So at least you're getting that flavor. Don't be like, oh, this is vegan vegetarian, let me not put any spice. If you cook with adobo, use adobo. If you cook with mesquite, use mesquite on it. Treat the spices, because at least your tongue will be excited, as opposed to like making it something that's boring for you, because food shouldn't be like a chore. It should be a time where you can kind of either disconnect or maybe put your favorite show on, but like enjoy what you're doing when you're doing it.
okay. Okay.
I think.
Okay. I have had some culinary experiences and some disasters.
Really? Like what?
Well, I happened to be in Southwest Asia for a duration,
Okay.
and got a chance to eat some of the local flavor goat, freshly grilled goat
Okay.
with the flatbread. It tasted great for the first 2 or 3 bites, and then it was really greasy and yeah, and it wasn't cooked on the George Foreman, so all the grease didn't fall away. You know what I mean? So it was cooked
Yeah.
on a flat grill, and I was in the middle of nowhere when I had stomach issues, and so that was a disaster. Then I happened to be in the Shibuya district and decided I was going to go native, and I didn't know what wasabi was.
Oh, okay.
So you can imagine what happened to me.
Yeah.
And they thought it was funny.
Yeah.
And my friends, they thought it was funny. And I'm like, okay, it's a little spicy. Okay, like tapatio or something.
Yeah.
Not. So yeah, blew the roof off of my head. And yeah, I didn't do well for a week. I had something similar to an ulcer, a reaction like that.
Wow.
So that was a disaster. However, Korea was a beautiful thing for me. And I learned to eat more vegetables and things like that. And I fell in love with Korean plums, the snow plums. They're white. And those were amazing. So I wish I could find that stuff here. I'm in the middle of nowhere again, in the United States. And, just finding Cafe Yave or Bustelo is a search. So anyway, had some fun. We talked about early on your love for creativity. So what's been the fanciest vegan meal that you've ever done, and what did you put into it?
I would say the fanciest vegan meal that I've made, that I've eaten ever.
Yeah, prepared even.
Well,
you said you don't cook. That's right.
No, I do cook. I do cook. It's just very simple.
Okay.
Because I also, have sensitivity to food and stuff. So whenever I'm cooking, I just make it really simple. I know what it is. I use if it's tofu or tempeh, I prepare it the way my mom prepared it growing up. Okay. I mean, my mom makes elaborate meals. She's the kind of person that we could go anywhere. She could taste the food and then figure out what the spices, what the preparation is, and then bring that home. And she could do that with any type of veggie, any type of tofu. If she's doing a special event, maybe it's a fish dish or a chicken dish. She doesn't really cook meat so much anymore, but probably my mom, since she's knows all types of rice. Maybe we have black rice from Bali with the purple sweet potatoes from, there's, with my mom, I would say growing up, I'd come to school with gnocchi, potato gnocchi, while everyone else had peanut butter and jelly. And they were like, what are you doing eating, pasta for lunch? And I felt so embarrassed about it. But now I'm like, oh man, that was so great that my mom was taking the time to make me food during the day, even though I wanted to be everybody had fruit roll-ups and I wasn't going to get fruit roll-ups and stuff like that. But probably there's some new restaurants in New York City that I would say are pretty fancy as far as the preparation and the descriptions. There's a couple of places whose names I can't remember, but that just opened. That would probably be, actually I was just on a farm and it was so good. We went to this place. It was a farm and they had a barn that was just this impromptu restaurant, because you can't really have a restaurant without all the licenses. Right. So it was they had a gourmet chef. They have a gourmet chef every week. Okay. But it's pay whatever you want, because since it's not technically a restaurant, you can't technically charge people.
Okay.
So it's donation based. And it was a 5-course meal with homemade hummus. Like the bread had been grown, like everything was prepared from that farm at some point and went straight to the table. So farm to table, literally, like you could see the stuff growing. And you knew that everything was prepared with care and love, because it's like a need to know invitation. Like you can't just kind of show up. It's small and intimate, even though the barn is huge. That was probably, I would say, the most fancy and specific meal, a vegan meal that I've ever had.
Wow. You know, some of it looks so beautiful. I'm like, it really looks good to look at. Yeah. Yeah. But I will give it a fair shake. New York has been a culinary experience for me. Like, I absolutely love the Indian restaurants. I love to go through, I never had saffron rice until I went to New York. I was like, this is delicious. I'm like, okay, all right. Anyway, it's great. So prepared with love and care, the quantum seed. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. And I just want to reiterate that I think it's a masterpiece. I think that you stopped painting at just the right time. Mm-hmm. And the canvas was full of vibrant colors and flavors, and it made you lean forward, made me lean forward. And I'm really excited for the world to hear it July 29th. And do you have a favorite?
Do I have a favorite? I have favorites depending on the mood I'm in that day. I feel like I'm not a parent, so I can't speak on, the reality of being a parent, but I feel like all these songs are kind of like my kids, and there's no one that I like more than the other. It's just each one has its own different personality. So sometimes, like, if I'm in a more like up moment and I'm like maybe getting ready to go out, Bump would be a song that's like more in tune with my vibe. Let's say I'm having like a more introspective moment, Don't Stress might be something that I need to hear, or something that I need to remind myself of. If I want to get hype and maybe I had a bad day and somebody said something that hurt my feelings, maybe Levitate would be the one that I would listen to, or Quicksand would be the one that I would listen to like re-hype myself up. Maybe Sugar Honey Ice. So the way the album is, the way I even created the songs before I even thought about putting this collection together, is each song came from an experience. So it really did come out of whatever I'm going through. Like when it's my own music, I don't put myself in like, you must write a song that is a ballad, or you must write a song that is up tempo. I'm just like, whatever I'm feeling at that moment is what's coming. So a song like Break My Soul, which is probably one of the only ballads that I've written, because I'm more of like an up tempo person. I've written a bunch of ballads for other people and I've written them, but there's not really, I feel like my internal rhythm is a little bit faster, so I gravitate towards like more like higher BPM songs. But I wrote Break My Soul actually after my grandmother had passed away, and I loved her so much. And there's just something so special when you have someone in your life, especially that's older than you, that's wiser, that just truly loves you. And they don't have to be related. It's just that bond that you have. And even though Break My Soul can be translated into a love song between, people, romantic love, it was a song to my grandmother because I just felt like, we actually changed the title of it. Because, so I wrote this song like a few years ago, but Beyonce just released a song called Break My Soul, which is so funny that it's like a week or two, but that's, the way the universe works. It's like, oh, you should have put your song out already. Like, look, this is already in the atmosphere. So I've just changed the title to Break a Little, but Break a Little, that song was written from a really real, emotional, true place. So that is a song that I feel like if you are in love or if you're going through something, that could possibly speak to someone. And then the remix is completely different. It's up tempo. It's really fun. I shot a short video for it on a jet ski in Miami. Okay. So like, it's kind of like, that is almost like the light, like once you realize that, or get over that heartbreak or get over that moment, because there's always that moment where you feel like you'll never get over something. Like you're in the middle of the journey, you look back, you look forward, all you see is like what you're feeling. The remix to me is like, I got through it. I learned, I will never lose that love that I had. I'll never lose that experience, but now I'm a better person for it. And I can go have some fun finally from being in like my cocoon. So that's like the journey of Break My Soul, and each song has its own vibe, but I take each song very like personally. Like it's like, you know, it's a reflect, it's not even a reflection. It's like, it's a piece of my
actual piece.
It's an actual piece. Yeah. You know, it's like, oh, it's like, because when someone listens to it and when someone cares about it, I take it personally. Like I feel good when you like it. Like it makes me feel happy if people are gravitating towards the music. It makes me feel happy that my intention of having it be something where you can be creative as well when you're listening to it, having it be something that like gives you inspiration, having the music actually touch you and enhance your vibe or bring it up into, that is what I was thinking, what I was praying, what I was like intending as I'm writing the lyrics, as I'm recording. I feel like music, creating music is like it's a gift. It's to create something from nothing. It's like, even if it's a music that I don't like, even if it's a message that I don't like, the fact is that something came through someone, these lyrics, this idea, it didn't exist anywhere. You can't touch it, but then it came through, and that's a beautiful thing. That, and it doesn't matter what kind of music, it could be country, it could be hip hop, it could be electro, it could be classical, whatever it is, there was a gift that was given to the person. And when I'm doing music, recording it, I like kind of have to acknowledge that this is coming from the universe, from God, from a higher power, whatever you want to call it. To me, it's it's God. I'm really grateful for that higher power in my life that has given me these gifts of song. I can't take credit for it, because there's something that's different when it's music or art that you can feel. It's not just you. Like it's me, it's coming through me, and yeah, I'm filtering it and I'm doing this, but like it's not just me. There's something else that's bestowing this, and you can feel there's a different type of flow that happens when, and I'm sure you feel it when you're writing, and there's like, it's almost like you're riding a wave that like you've been preparing for this wave, like you've cleared the space for this wave, and you could have been writing beforehand, but then that like magic comes in.
Yes.
And that's the part that I'm grateful for. That's the part that I'm hoping for. That's that inspiration that you gotta like be tuned into it, so you can really, really go for it, and not just let it go. There used to be times I'm like, oh yeah, but I'm like, oh, now I'm like, oh, if I have that feeling, let me really utilize it, and let me really like honor it, because there's times where that feeling doesn't come. It doesn't mean that I can't create, doesn't mean that the stuff isn't good, but I know it doesn't have that spark that I'm looking for necessarily.
More forced, huh?
Yeah.
I have that feeling, and like I said before, this is not my interview, this is yours, but I feel where you're coming from, because sometimes I will sit down and I will start to write the words. And one of the reasons why I now do video interviews is because I start to write the words and they're just words. Maybe I didn't make as great a connection with the person to be able to translate that and transcribe that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they don't get my best effort. But like when you can face up with someone, look them in the eye and connect, and the interview goes to conversation level, that's like a huge freaking honor. And then you can just wrap a little editorial around it, a little background, and say, you know what, you need to tune in to this. So I think some people say I'm cheating as a journalist, but I feel like I'm getting all the juice out of the fruit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Instead of hand squeezing it, I'm using a machine and I'm draining that joker dry. And so I kind of, you know, maybe that's a bad analogy, but that's the way I feel. I'm connecting with your story that way.
Yeah, it's not. You know, I'm teaching myself how to play the guitar, and you said, you know, it's like you're cheating. Oh yeah, there's your guitar.
Ender just sent me a guitar, and I just enrolled in the.
Wow.
They sent me a Stratocaster. Oh my God! And they let me in the Fender Play program. I'm not musical at all. Like Mary Had a Little Lamb on the keyboard. That's it. Right? Yeah. So I'm still learning how to fret. But yeah. So you're teaching yourself the guitar.
Yeah, and I'm doing bar chords. And so to me, bar chords were cheating for like years. I was like, but then I'm like, hold up, Dolly Parton wrote and plays all of her music with bar chords, and she has nails. Because I was like, I like my nails. I want to keep using them. I also know that I am never gonna be able to be like the technical guitar player that I'm looking up to.
Right.
But I also know I love the feeling of playing the guitar. I know that I want to be able to stand up and play. I want to be able to enjoy just by myself playing songs that I've written or songs that other people wrote that I just want to sing. And I had to get over that moment of like, I'm cheating. But like, are you though? Because this technology has been given to you, so use it. You know what I mean? Like people said, oh, Bob Dylan, when he went electric, that's not, music. Or when people use different programs, oh, well, it's not organic. It's not an actual piano, but it's a piano sound. And I still got to play it, so it's just a different medium.
The DJs used to get when, Serato and came out and Controller and things like that. I'm like, but you were making beats on an MPC. You know what I mean? So isn't that the same as like Controller? Isn't that the same as
I think it's the same.
I think it's the same concept.
Yeah. I do too. I have friends who are DJs who went from records to, through the whole process. We used to bring crates to the shows, that moment when it started being Serato and the CDs and everything, there was definitely like people, well, that's not real DJing. But then you can still be the DJ that doesn't use technology, because now that's actually really cool still. Like, that's amazing that someone can mix analog. They're not getting the waveforms lined up. They're not getting any help other than their own personal experience.
Right.
But that doesn't take away from the person who grew up with Serato, who just has a different way of doing it. It's just like different ways of doing things.
Yeah. I think, in my humble opinion, it started out in Jamaica as a selector. They select the music to move the crowd, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now maybe they're not doing vinyl.
Right.
And you're not DJing, and you're not doing what Mad Ills will do or Illmind is doing, right?
Yeah.
But you're still a selector. Why? Because you're still picking the music and moving the crowd. You're connecting.
You are. Yeah.
So I think it just comes full circle. It's just a different day and age, but it's the same result, and you can get funky with it. And they do. Like, I'm a huge Deadmau5 fan.
Yeah.
I really like Eva. I really like her. She's amazing.
Yeah.
And I love Sandflower. Quantum
Thank
Seed
you.
is killer.
Thank
Quantum
you.
Seed is killer. You gave so much, and for me, brought so much value musically and in sharing the stories. And you could tell that you were really, ripping off little pieces and saying, here you go, here you go, here you go. And, I almost gave a religious analogy, this is my flesh. I was like, oh God. Well, I don't know I don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah,
but it was magical for me. So I love it. And I'm looking forward to the next one. You have a fan. Obviously, you have a fan.
You. This makes me so happy. Like I feel like I just got a gift. From you.
You do wonders for my ego, young lioness. I swear. Is there anything that you wanted to cover? We covered spray grounds, your education, struggle meals, anything you wanted to cover that I may have neglected for you.
Let's see, maybe I think the thing that came up to my mind was visual art and fashion, because that works into the music. Because I also make headpieces for my shows. Like I'm always making something that I'm going to perform in. When I'm walking down the street, it's fun for me, but it's also like I must have a look, and it doesn't have to be anything wild or crazy. It could be like, okay, today I want to be like Marlon Brando and I'm going to wear a t-shirt and jeans or something like that. But there has to be like a story in my head, or like I'll think about a music video that I've seen and I want to recreate something of that, just so when I go out into the world, I feel like I have a little bit of a armor on. I feel like New York City, you want to be mentally and physically prepared when you leave the house. Maybe that's because I'm from Brooklyn, and you have to have an armor. You have to be very aware of your surroundings in New York City in general, no matter what neighborhood you're from. If you are interacting, it could be between your doorman and the car that has been sent to pick you up. You need to be aware. But for that one little, you're on the street with strangers. It could be from the moment you walk out of your building to the subway, to that whole ride, to your job, whatever it is, you got to be aware. You got to be focused. You don't have to be, but you have to be, though.
Right.
In order to just to function, just, okay, the train is coming, or let me listen, or, oh, that person's got a weird vibe, or, oh, that person's got a really cool outfit. Let me observe this a little bit. Let me take this in. I think that's what fashion is for me. And then visual art just feeds into the music, because I get ideas from sitting still and making something with my hands. Then sometimes lyrics come through, or I can get into that flow a little bit easier, because I don't have the same kind of pressure on myself when I'm going to make something that's visual. Maybe I wouldn't if I didn't put something, I put pressure on myself and for music and stuff, but I like a little bit of that, adrenaline. I like a little bit of that, is it gonna be, you need a little bit of that adventure, in it, to make it exciting. And I think it's funny, just to go back, I was just thinking about Michael Jordan in The Last Dance, when he was like, I take it personal,
Right.
That's what I do with each song. Every lyric is happening in each song is to someone. I'm saying it to someone. It's happened in life. Levitate is talking to people that, maybe have looked down on me or didn't believe that I could do something, or I'm, out here no, I'm going to do this. This is what's going to happen. And then I'm closing my eyes and levitating. And even when I'm creating a painting or creating a headpiece, it's this is saying something. This is happening because I want to be a goddess. I want to project that image. Maybe I had a hard day that day, so I want to make a piece that's going to adorn me, to lift me back up. So that's I think the only other thing.
I think that Levitate was like one of the slick tracks.
Yeah, that was a slick track for sure.
I was like, she's talking that ish right there. And that one motivated me because, you know, I spent most of my time in the military, you know, as we discussed before.
Well, thank you for your service.
No thanks needed. I was a young wolf, and they took me as a wolf, made me a better wolf, and sent me out to do what I would naturally do and kept me out of jail.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
That's fair trade, right?
Yeah.
In retrospect, at my age, some of the places that I went and some of the things that I did, I don't agree with in retrospect, because I come home and my people are being abused, shot down in the streets, and disrespected. I just watched 2 cops slam a female off her bicycle.
I saw that video today.
I was so enraged. You know, I just, the more I think about it, it makes me want to cry.
Yeah.
That we're at that stage. So let me stop.
Okay.
Anyway, we've got about 10 minutes left.
Okay.
I would continue to compliment you for 10 minutes, but I think that we don't need to do that. I mean,
I've got an ego, but you know.
Yeah. It gets, you're like, he lost all his little journalistic decorum. And yeah, I think you're magnificent. I think that your music is stunning. I think the products that you help drive and spray ground are stunning.
Thank you.
I proudly carry that brand. I'm not looking for a sponsorship or anything like that. I'm too old for that. I just love the product. I think it keeps me young.
Yeah.
Keeps my imagination going. What are they going to come out with next? And now that I met you, I understand that it could be anything.
It can be anything. It really can.
It's going to be exciting. And you know, I would like to wish you nothing but complete success in everything that you do. And shout you out for your intestinal fortitude. First of all, young ladies, she's been through it all. She grew up in a musical family, but it still takes intestinal fortitude to step out on your own as an artist and present yourself without being a mime of someone else. And it takes guts and a strong will to be an individual, create your own art, create your own clothes, and then say, hey, I think my ideas would go great with what you're doing and impacting someone else's life. And now you're at the level where you're impacting people's lives by helping them to provide for their families.
Yeah.
You know, you've lived up not only to being an entertainer, but you've become Monet, you've become Basquiat, you've become Gauguin musically, creatively, in the physical sense with the pieces that you deliver as well. How'd I do?
Wow. Thank you. Thank you.
That was freestyle, by the way.
That really,
that was heartfelt.
Touches me. That I feel that in my heart and my gut, because I didn't think about willpower. I didn't think about fortitude. I just thought I just couldn't not do it. Even when I tried to quit, even when I tried to stop doing music because it wasn't going in the direction that I thought it should go when I thought it should go that way. But I couldn't stop making music. I couldn't stop performing. I couldn't stop rehearsing. And I felt like if this dream, if these skills have been put into my heart and my soul and my mind by the universe, then I need to honor that. And maybe the times. A producer that I work with, David Kahn, he's amazing. He's done some Fishbone, Sugar Ray, the Bangles, like Paul McCartney, he's working with a lot. He said something to me a couple of
Gwen
years ago.
Stefani, Justin
Yeah.
Timberlake, Kelly Clarkson, Lil Jon.
Yeah, like he said like, Sandflower, you might be one of those artists where you don't align with the times align with you.
Yeah.
And when he said that, it took me a while to understand what that means. But if you have something in your heart that you want to do, you just got to keep doing it. Because you're only going to get better. And yeah, there's a lot of no's that are coming. I had a lot of meetings where I wasn't, like whoever was big at the time. And I would try to emulate them, but I'm sure the A&Rs or, the VPs would see me walking in and they'd already see that I wasn't that thing. And some meetings I would have when I first was like, okay, let me try to do pop music this way. People were like, yeah, this doesn't really feel like you, because I was trying to emulate other stuff. But now being myself, it's like, okay, I can do my own music in a way that feels true to myself. I can collaborate with Sprayground. I can be in a world where they see me as the artist coming in to the Sprayground world. David Ben David, it's like, hey, Sandflower, you're an artist. I'm not coming in as a designer or just, a content creator. I'm coming in as an artist, which is amazing because he's an artist. So there's a different level of movement that I can have being recognized as that. And it's so important because I spent a lot of time not being able to do certain things because I was sacrificing for my music, or not making money in the way that other people were, because I was making a choice to live my life a certain way. So to see it starting to pay off as far as like the world, that's all the difference, because I was getting the joy from making it myself, but I knew I wanted someone like you to hear it and really understand it. I was like, I want my music to go to people who actually listen to music and listen to lyrics. Like I want those people to gravitate to what I'm doing. And so now that I feel like it's happening, it just sometimes you see those artists are like, if I can do it, anybody can. And if they can do it, anybody can, but you have to believe and you have to do the work. You have to do it. And it might not feel like work at the time, but you are doing the work. You're practicing every day. You're writing every day. It might just feel natural to you, but if you're doing it for 5 years, for 10 years, if you're doing it, when everybody's going out to party, if you're doing it and everybody is, doing this or everybody's doing that, but you're over here in your own world, like you're in the lane to be, if I can do it, anybody can, because we all have choices during the day of what we can do. And when I'm like, oh, I made the choice, I made this choice. And it feels really good to be able to be myself when I walk into any room, So I really appreciate what you said.
Wow. The fact that it's like air for you, you have to have it, means that you're going to struggle to breathe at all times, in all circumstances and situations. And that is going to powerfully, emote through your music, through your art, and people are going to receive it. And there's more than me, there's more than me that are ready for you. And we thank you for being here, and we thank you for being who you are. So, you have a friend here at the Hype Magazine, and I certainly hope that we can keep in touch and, support your art and everything that you're doing. I have 60 seconds left. I'll give it to you.
I want to say thank you so much for having me. Thank you for listening to the music. Thank you for giving artists like me a platform to express what we do. And to anybody watching, just believe in yourself and do what you feel is in your heart. Do it. It's gonna work out. I promise.
All right, everybody. The Hype Magazine live sessions, Sandflower. The project is the Quantum Seed. It drops July 29th. And it's on your imprint. We didn't give your imprint.
Oh yeah, I'm doing it in collaboration with Arena One, which is the imprint of my producer, and then just Sandflower as me. So it's a collab, but it's a new form of doing things. So everybody gets to keep their share of the masters.
Okay, that's dope. All right, I'm not giving you her social media because I'm keeping her to myself. You'll get to see it when she drops on July 29th, and I'll do a follow-up.